الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فإن الله تعالى مع المتقين وبعد. Inshallah, this afternoon, 2 points that I would like to touch upon and highlight. Of course, relating to what has been taking place across the country, maybe sporadically across London, small incidences of those who have been ascribed to be from the far right, rioting and attacking innocent people based upon prejudices and assumptions and miseducation. The first part is an address to those who are rioting, but of course they are not amongst us. Therefore, I address you with them in mind, and it is for us to understand a few points in regards to them. Number one, they are being misled, and they are being manipulated, and they are being misguided by individuals who do not have their best interests at heart. It is quite well known now publicly, due to information that has been released online, that their manipulators are Zionists. And they are supporters of the state of Israel. And with the ground that has been lost over the past few months, something had to take place that would try to win some ground back on the ground for the Zionist agenda. And what a better way than to paint the Muslims as being savages and killers and barbaric and so on and so forth, which in reality is a projection of the Zionist state itself. You have individuals that are sitting around enjoying the sun, paying hundreds of pounds per night for hotels, whilst they are urging and inciting people to cause chaos and damage to their own homes and their own streets. And so the message is for those individuals that are engaging in such action to wake up and understand the reality. To wake up and understand the reality. And we have to look at these people as two groups. Perhaps there are more, but two groups. There are those that are hateful and spiteful and corrupted in the hearts, and they simply want to cause chaos, and they want to harm, and they are looking for any excuse, and they have hate in their hearts. And there are those that have been genuinely manipulated and genuinely confused and genuinely misfed information that has led them to join something that they don't actually agree with in essence. And so what stance do we take against such people as Muslims? We should take the stance of the Prophet ﷺ when he stood in opposition of the likes of Khalid ibn al-Walid and those who fought against Islam initially. The Prophet ﷺ, he stood against those that fought against Islam and the Muslims with a heart that welcomed them to Islam. A standing which is firm, which is in defense, ferocious, but at the same time merciful and open-hearted. As Muslims, that should be our stance. And we have to understand that these individuals, not only are they being misled by Zionists online, but they are being misled by their own government. By their own government. The government, since February 2022, has spent billions, and has pledged billions to Ukraine, for example, whilst it spends nothing on the poor and impoverished on the streets of the UK. The government has left its own people to suffer and to struggle. Just last winter, we heard of individuals dying due to the freezing cold weather. In the UK, people dying due to the cold, whilst billions are being spent on a country that actually has nothing to do with the UK. The tribal wars of the elite have nothing to do with the working class of the UK. And we have to understand that. There's also been a report recently that over £100 billion has been misspent by the UK government since 2019. By individuals that are representative of the government and by divisions of the government. Over £100 billion misspent by the UK government since 2019. You can go online and read these things for yourselves. And instead of using the wealth that the UK government has or the taxpayers' money the way that it should be used, they misuse it and they pass the blame onto those who are going through the same struggles as the English working class themselves are going through. Take London for an example. The working class masses in London, they are not made up of a particular color or a particular minority or a particular tribe. They are a diverse community. The white man goes through the same problems as the black man goes through the same problems as the yellow man, and so on and so forth. There is no difference amongst us when it comes to our everyday struggles, but then those at the top want to sow the seeds of division. Why? Because a divided community are easy to control and to manipulate. Our masjid, for example, you look around and you see different colors, different shades, different tribes, different nations, different ethnicities. But we come together as one. And so we as Muslims have to be very careful that we do not become reactive in opposition to that which is happening and start to develop hatred for a particular people, a particular color, a particular race. No, we look at these people and we say these people are ignorant, uneducated, and they need Islam. And just as the Prophet ﷺ put his own life on the line, and the Sahaba put their lives on the line to bring Islam to those who stood in opposition to them, likewise we should have the same mentality. When those who need Islam come to attack us for Islam, we want Islam to be brung to them too. That's our mentality as Muslims. We have to transcend these divisions. It's difficult, definitely, but that was the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when referring to Islam and the Prophet ﷺ, said, Rahmatan lil alameen, a mercy for mankind, Rahmatan lil alameen. And we have individuals that have come to Islam that otherwise, prior to their accepting of Islam, would have had hatred towards the Muslims. It's happened. Individuals, due to their ignorance, did not understand what Islam was and therefore hated it. But once they see Islam and they understand the Muslims and they meet Islam in real life, they fall in love with it. And so the second point, to address us, myself first, and the community, we need to look at what is taking place. And we have to make sure that we are representing Islam to the best of our ability. And alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, in this masjid, how many new Muslims have we had? And they say the reason they came to Islam is their friends, their Muslim friends. The character they've seen from their Muslim friends, the discipline that they've seen from their Muslim friends, the way that their Muslim friends treated them. We need to continue, and we need to get better, and we need to work on representing Islam to the best of our ability. The harder the media goes against Islam, the stronger we should become as Muslims. Just as the fruit is squeezed, the tighter the squeeze, the more concentrated the juice. Likewise, us as a community, the tighter we feel the squeeze, the more concentrated we should become in our practicing of Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا ضرر ولا ضرار, that we as a community, the Ummah of Islam, we do not go out to cause harm unjustified, nor do we reciprocate harm that we have received unjustified. We are not a people that seek vengeance. We are not a people that go out to harm due to wanting to inflict vengeance on a person for that which they have inflicted upon us. No, that's not our way. That's not our way. And that was not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And you can name some of those who went on to become some of the great Sahaba. They stood in opposition to the Prophet ﷺ. Once they accepted Islam, the Prophet ﷺ did not seek vengeance against them. And the best of examples, Khalid ibn al-Walid, Sayfullah al-Maslul, the sword of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his sword was unsheathed against the Muslims. And you can even say that the friend and the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, the lion, Hamza radiallahu ta'ala an, he tasted death due to Khalid ibn al-Walid, who led the army against the Muslims, wherein Hamza passed away as a martyr radiallahu ta'ala an. But the Prophet ﷺ accepted his Islam. Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala an. And when Amr ibn al-As became Muslim, he was struck with grief. Why? Because of his opposition to Islam. Because of his opposition to Islam prior to accepting it. And the Prophet ﷺ informed him that Islam abrogates everything which came before it. Islam wipes away all sin. The Sahaba such as Khalid ibn al-Walid, Amr ibn al-As, Abu Sufyan, Hind, radiallahu ta'ala anha, individuals who stood firmly against Islam. And so we have to open our hearts to wanting Islam for everyone. But that does not mean that we don't defend ourselves. Of course we defend ourselves. And we defend our communities. And for that reason, as men, if we are traveling on public transport and we see a Muslim woman or a minority ethnic woman or any woman who we assume may be vulnerable in these times, we should sit close or stand close to them and allow our presence to be felt by those around. Does not mean we sit next to them and we start talking to them, no. But we stand close. And there have been incidences, unfortunately, first-hand information of Muslim women receiving abuse on public transport over the last few days in London. And for me, that's not surprising. That's not surprising. What's surprising is that there were individuals around and they did not do anything. And as a Muslim, that's not acceptable for us. If I see any woman receiving abuse, she has a right upon me to defend her. بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, in the best way. In the best way. And so if I am traveling on public transport, if I am walking and I see a Muslim woman who may be vulnerable, I should try my best to allow my presence to be known in that area, whether it's on a train, whether it's on a bus, whether it's on a tram, whatever it may be. And so we will defend our communities without a shadow of a doubt, but we have to keep our hearts clean. We have to keep our hearts clean. And there have been incidences and reports, and it's very difficult to decipher the truth from falsehood when you're looking at that which has been relayed online in these times. But there have been reports of those who came out to protest or to stand against the rioters, and when the rioters did not show up, they themselves engaged in the same behavior. And of course, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And if we are Muslim, we have to be very careful. There are videos, Muslims using foul language and abusive language against those who are rioting. That's not our way. They are not our teachers. We do not follow them. We have principles. We have a framework. And so we have to be very cautious and very careful. And we have to have cool heads in these times. Keep our heads cool. Why? Because we do not, as a community, want to fan the flames of fire. No. We do not want to fan the flames of fire. We want Islam for all, and we are ready to defend our communities without a shadow of a doubt. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده وصلوات ربي وسلامه على أشرف الأنبياء ومن تبعه وبعد. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he said, لا فضل لعربي على أعجمي ولا لأعجمي على عربي ولا لأبيض على أسود ولا لأسود على أبيض. الناس من آدم وآدم من تراب أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, there is no virtue for the Arab over the non-Arab, or the non-Arab over the Arab, or the white over the black, or the black over the white. He said people are from Adam. Mankind are all from Adam, and Adam was from the earth. Or as he said, alayhi salatu wassalam, that is our methodology. That is our methodology. If you have a particular people that come to attack us in the name of racism, we do not respond with racism. In the name of tribalism, we do not respond with tribalism. We respond with iman and disbelief. That's our framework. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, and was mentioned a few weeks ago from this minbar, the people are three: mu'min, kafir, munafiq. We are only one of three: mu'min, kafir, munafiq. We do not believe in color or race or tribe. We don't see those things as Muslims. We see our brothers in Islam, and we see our brothers and sisters in humanity who have yet to receive Islam. Our job is to bring Islam to them. And then you have the hypocrites, You have the hypocrites that are going to sow chaos on the earth, and hypocrisy is something which has become widespread today anyway. And so we have to be very careful and cautious. We do not want to contribute to the problem. We want to be a solution to the problem. And alhamdulillah, we had an anti-racism rally a few days ago in Lewisham. The community came out to support the mosque. They came out to support the Muslims. Why? Because of the relationship with the masjid, with the community. Because of the relationship of the community with the wider community. And that's what Islam is. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those who are guided and guide others. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وارض اللهم عن أبي بكر وعن عمر وعن عثمان وعن علي وعن سائر الصحابة أجمعين اللهم اهدنا وجعلنا من المهتدين الهداة يا رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.